Regressor of the Fallen Family. Chapter 69. As I am the elder here, I will allow you the first move. No, thank you. I do not wish to hear later that I gained an advantage by starting first. I can win without any concessions. If the opponent wasn't foolish, they would understand the meaning behind those words. Being called a genius makes one reckless, it seems. For your sake, I shall teach you that there is a heaven above heaven. Ramon Percival's expression hardened as he drew Rampton's sword. The moment he did, the magic stone set in the hilt of the sword vibrated, casting a subtle glow over his entire body. Wow! Impressive. Is that the beautiful effect of an artifact? While the surrounding spectators were busy admiring, Logan snorted internally. It's not like you're announcing your presence here. Perfect for getting killed. The Count probably had given him an artifact more for its showy effects than its practicality. Little did they know, but presumably, Rampton had most likely ended up dying in battle, just being a lamp on the battlefield. Ching! Even without any special magic effects, the Lux emitted a faint light the moment it was drawn. To those interested in armor, the inherent beauty of the modest-looking sword was immediately evident. Perfect balance. A blade that's sharp and sturdy. It was as if the sword proved that, crafted with its sole purpose in mind, it could indeed be this beautiful. The eyes of treasure collectors and accomplished knights changed immediately, but Ramon Percival did not have the eye to appreciate it. How can you handle an artifact with just a pretty sword like that? I'm worried you'll later find your weapon inadequate for the defeat. That won't happen, so don't worry about it. At Logan's calm answer, Ramon's brow twitched. Be careful, thud. The next moment, Ramon's lithe body charged forward like an arrow. His eyes were serious, and the blade he thrust forward was clothed in a glow akin to that of his body. Like an old knight from a tale, gallantly charging forward to restrain evil. The influence of armor played a part, but Ramon, thinking Logan was acting carelessly due to hidden skill, had intentionally made the display dramatic. I should entertain him moderately. Among the spectators were the likes of Moon Knight and Plants. While it was possible to hide one's vigor, to avoid the eyes of a high-class knight completely required an adequately convincing performance. Kwang! Kuh! He let himself wobble just enough. Suck. Gasp! He let his skin scrape a bit. The end is! Ah! He even provided sharp-looking counters now and then. Not bad. Chang! Chang! Shang! Showing a bit of fighting spirit along the way. The final blow seemed to be aided by luck, almost theatrical. I guess I was lucky. With that, the sword Logan pressed against Ramon's neck wavered with a long exhale. Using posture to raise his metabolic heat and make sweat over his body was his way of placing a perfect period in his performance. However, the opposing actor didn't seem to agree. This is a mistake, Count. It's because I'm not used to this sword. Ramon's face turned beet red as he begged, looking not at Logan but at the head of the banquet hall. But then, enough. Please give me just one more chance. Enough, Ramon. You have disappointed me, especially with that attitude. Count Bifrost's reaction was chilly, and his gaze towards Ramon turned equally cold. If you feel unjust, you should speak to your opponent. Why are you complaining to me? Or do you want to say that you lost because of the treasure I gifted? No, not at all. I apologize, Your Excellency. Ramon immediately fell to his knees and prostrated himself, leaving Logan, who was the actual opponent in the duel, in an awkward position. All the way to the end. Ah, I forgot to cheer for the winner. I apologize for the unsightly scene, Mr. Logan. You won. Thank you, Count. Since my man disrespected you and made a mistake, I will specially open my treasury for you to choose an artifact for yourself. Oh, the Count indeed. Such generosity. Everyone, let's give a round of applause to our young hero. Wow. The atmosphere shifted instantly with the Count's words. Yet from his cold face to his now smile-masked visage, the dramatic change in the Count's expression seemed comical to Logan. He's trying to keep me here somehow, isn't he? No matter what he gives, it's all the same. And the Count was probably only thinking of temporarily moving the location of whatever artifact he gave. It won't go the way he wishes. For once, Logan didn't hide his feelings, wearing a content smile. At that moment, Your Excellency, I have a moment. A man rushed in with a somewhat flushed face. Overdressed for a mere messenger, he bowed deeply and whispered a report to the Count. As the Count patted his shoulder with a beaming smile, whispering something in return, the man hastily ran back out of the banquet hall, and the Count looked around the room with a bright face. By serendipity, a distinguished person with whom I have ties honorably sent a message. They regret not being able to attend in person, but have sent a magical communication, and they wish to give a speech in the presence of everyone here. Who could such a person be, making Count Roger Bifrost so happy with just simple communication? As everyone present felt puzzled, a man who had dashed out earlier bustled back in carrying a crystal ball as large as a person's torso. Careful! Don't rush so. Tsk, tsk. Even for the Bifrost Count, that was a sizable communication crystal, drawing admiring comments from the crowd. The Count moved the crystal to his seat and smiled warmly. "It's been a while, Duke. It is my humble joy to see you well like this." "Excessive courtesy is flattery, Count. Do not demean yourself on such a good day." "Absolutely not. How could I dare?" "Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the strongest superhuman of our kingdom, the pillar supporting the royal house, the Duke of Swordsmanship, Felix Esperanza." As the Count introduced the protagonist of the magical communication with a proud voice, even Logan's face became similar to his for the first time, while celebrating the dependable Count's birthday of our kingdom. Personally, I regret that I could not attend, but I trust that the distinguished guests here are surely witnessing the generosity of Roger Bifrost, Count of Bifrost. My humble speech ends here. Enjoy the party, and I wish for the Count's continued health. Ah ha ha ha. Thank you, Duke. The Count almost tore the corner of his mouth with such happiness, but then, oh, but there, isn't that Logan? The unexpected comment from the crystal caused the Count's face to instantly harden. Pfft. He's really bad at acting. I nearly spit out the wine I drank earlier at the awkwardness. However, as the one who had made the request, Logan couldn't disrupt the stage himself. A congratulatory speech from the Duke of Swordsmanship, an eminent noble of a current neutral faction, neither siding with the first nor the second prince. The Count couldn't possibly refuse whatever his affiliation. Moving forward, we'll have to manage well. Logan bowed politely in the middle of the banquet hall, where the crystal was in full view. "It's been too long, Master." With those simply uttered words and a greeting, the banquet hall fell utterly silent. "Master? The Duke of Swordsmanship? Huh? How unexpected." As the once silent hall filled with chatter, the Duke continued indifferently. "Why are you there? Ah, your home is indeed in the southwest as well." "That's correct." Odd to see my inattentive apprentice's face like this. "Well, when will you come to the capital? I've certainly prepared the party for you." "Unfortunately, I may have to stay in Bifrost Castle for a while due to family matters. The Count has made an offer I cannot refuse." Logan elegantly veiled the meaning of "I'm being threatened." "Count, is that really the case?" The Duke asked a simple question that shelved the complex family affairs for the moment. "Ha ha, that is. Ah, no, Your Excellency. If the Duke is looking for him, my own matters can wait." "Oh, is that so? That would be greatly appreciated. Logan, let's meet in the capital soon." "I understand. Thank you, Master." While the scenario had been laid out, the sincerity in his last word was real. As he watched the faint distortion on the Count's face, it felt immensely satisfying. The following morning, "You have made a good connection, Mr. Logan. However, my offer still stands, so I hope you reconsider." Logan mused over the Count's words and stern expression from the end of the night while he snickered, only to be interrupted by a knock at the door. "The Count has commanded my assistance with a report." The attitude of the knight, who seemed to have come unwillingly, was rigid, but Logan found it rather pleasurable. There was another party planned for the evening, but he had no intention of attending. "I suppose it's a good excuse? Just pick up the artifact and leave." He would have left yesterday had it not been for this. Of course, he wasn't expecting much. The really important items are probably put away. He wondered how things would have played out if the Duke's communication had occurred today instead, but it was a futile thought. He was lucky enough that events had unfolded as he hoped. Shaking his head to rid himself of greed, Logan followed the knight with a light heart. You have 1 hour to browse. The Count has granted permission for you to take any one item. Please understand you may be subjected to a check when you leave. Understood. A massive stone door guarded by 18 knights, including 3 senior knights. At the door, Logan received further instructions, and then 10 knights split to each side and began to push with a battle cry. Rah! Hop! Thum! The knights' shouts accompanied the door as it slowly opened. Nay was pushed. The unexpected security measure took Logan by surprise, unable to close his jaw. Physical strength is required to open the storage room for the artifacts. Whose idea was this? The deed took a full minute, and finally, with a heavy noise, the door opened, revealing stairs leading into the depths. However, what? That's it? The door itself was only about 1 mailer thick. It took 10 knights straining to move this. With no magical energy detected, it didn't seem magical. He didn't have time to ponder. Please, go in. You have 1 hour. The door will be closed afterwards. Logan, still filled with questions, left behind the sweat-drenched knights bearing resentful looks to enter. After a short walk down the narrow stone stairs, he came upon a large, well-lit chamber. The sight took him aback. He couldn't help but exclaim, "Wow." An underground stone chamber as wide as several hundred square meters. The underground chamber, which should have been dark, was brilliantly lit by countless luminous stones embedded in the ceiling. Night-shining stones, rare gems that emitted their own light. Just the night-shining stones alone, if sold, would fetch millions of gold. Of course, even without them, the small treasures scattered over the chamber seemed to dwarf that value. About 30 of them? At a glance, about half of the artifacts he saw seemed to be armor or weapons. Yet, as expected, you cleaned it all out, didn't you? Arranged in sections for armor, weapons, and other items, there were many empty glass cases that once appeared to hold something further back in each section. The leftovers are at best the same level as those at yesterday's party. With no guides or explanations, he couldn't even tell what effects the artifacts had. While Count Bifrost outwardly made a grand gesture, Logan couldn't help but find his stinginess quite unsurprising, although not completely incomprehensible. Free artifacts worth at least 10 million gold each, not bad. Well, I'm thankful. With a delighted heart, Logan began examining the artifacts. Having practiced posture, his heightened senses allowed him to feel even the finest differences in the quality and magnitude of the magic within the artifacts. He passed over the magically infused swords and spears for now. He was satisfied with Lux, and at a glance he couldn't sense any superior power compared to the items presented at the banquet. Logan then turned his attention to the armor, hoping to find something suitable to wear. This one's electric magic? What, to electrocute the wearer as well? This next is fire? Using the armor offensively? Good grief! Amid the unimpressive selections, picking a decent item required thought. Finally, Logan narrowed down his choice to 3 artifacts. An upper body armor barely perceivable in weight despite its robust hardness. Gauntlets that instantaneously project a shield spell. Greaves that lightened the body and bounced off impacts. He weighed which one to choose while in contemplation. Huh? Swoosh. Focused on examining the artifacts, a faint sensation of posture seemed drawn to a particular area. Hey there, boys and girls. I am the story guy. Thanks for listening. The story doesn't end here. There's more to uncover, more secrets to expose, and more crazy stuff to share on the way. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. We're just getting started.